All right, let's say you've got all your forms refined and you don't want to do Boolean operations, but say you want to start slicing panel lines or doing quick cuts along these lines. And I'm going to use this helmet plate as demonstration. So what I'm going to do is Alt tap this and then hold down Shift and shoot it to the top using this bent arrow here. Because I'm not going to be using anything else just for this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and go down to my subtool, subtool, and then I'm going to do Delete Other and just isolate that. So this is all I'm working with right now. So I want to go ahead and let's say I want to go ahead and slice this and make a nice panel line right down here. So what I'm going to do is hold down Control Shift, go into my slice curve, and what I'm going to do is create a polygroup. So there's going to be a polygroup back here and a polygroup over here. If you turn on polyframe, you're going to see this is all one polygroup. Oop, except for these aren't. So what I'm going to do is hit Control W because I just want to deal with one polygroup right now. Just keep it nice and simple. Hold down Control Shift, and if I drag this line out, you're going to see it's going to have a gradient to one side. Everything past that gradient and back to the line is going to be sliced into one polygroup. Go to the other side, sliced right through there. And the cool thing about this is it slices one straight perfect line right down there. So we're going to use this to our advantage. You're going to notice it didn't do it to the other side. It's really easy to remedy, and I'm going to show you the long way to do it. I'm going to show you the short way. So this object right here, what we want to do is you're going to want to mirror and weld this eventually under modified topology. However, if I mirror and weld right now across the X, it's going to mirror this side to this side. It goes negative to positive. So what we need to do first is go under deformation and hit mirror across the X, and now hit mirror and weld across the X. And now we're perfectly symmetrical on both sides. Now, again, that's a lot of moving up and down over here. An easier way is just create a menu that has everything you want in it, and then assign that to a hotkey, and then all I have to do is go mirror and weld, mirror, mirror, and weld, and I got X, Y, and Z here, so I can do this all day long just between these two buttons right here. I don't have to go to two separate submenus. So now we've got these two. So what you can do, if you've got a nice straight line, if you want to go ahead and make these into different panels, one thing you can do is go into your Dynamesh options and just turn on groups, and that'll Dynamesh this one group and this one group. So I'm going to show you why it works in this case and why it's not going to work in future cases. So in this case, it's actually pretty useful. You can go into your geometry menu and go over here to Dynamesh. So in your Dynamesh settings, we've turned off blur, we've turned off project, but what we want to do is go ahead and turn on groups. So if you turn on groups in Dynamesh, what that's going to do, like I said, is you've got, if I hold down Control Shift and tap this, and I do Control Shift A, which is visibility grow all, you're going to see this is all one nice smooth Dynamesh mesh. Now if I hold down Control Shift, go into Select Rect, and I Control Shift drag, and that inverts that, you're going to see this is all one nice smooth mesh. You can keep these polygroups if you want. You're going to see, like, when I Control Shift selected this, it didn't select the inside. Do Control Shift A to grab it all. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to hit Control W to group all this, Control Shift drag, Control W, group all that. So now I've got two separate polygroups. So I can isolate this, and everything shows up like it's supposed to. Now what you can do is you can smooth this stuff if you want to and get nice clean cut lines here. Or more likely what I would do is take this one, if I tap, let's make sure we got, oh, this is all one group, so what I want to do is go ahead and split this into its own subtool. There's a couple of different ways I can do that. I can hit Control Shift and then do a split hidden, like I've talked about before under the split menu, so I can split hidden. Or if everything's showing, you can do split to parts. Group split, it'll split everything that's its own polygroup. So use any of those that you want to. I usually keep it safe and just do a quick split hidden. I have my custom menu. So now I've got this sweet subtool here. It's a nice and clean, sharp cut, and I've got this subtool here. So now what you can do is, just by itself, you can go ahead and smooth these edges down if you want to. Go to the next subtool, smooth these down if you want to. Go to solo mode, and you've got nice, clean panel lines. Where this process falls apart is if you want to do anything more complex than that. If you're just doing perfectly straight lines, it'll do it perfectly. And we're going to use that to our advantage, but we're going to have to do a little bit more complex shapes. So let's say on this thing I want to like cut out something square over here. And I want to like cut through here, and then I want to take this mesh out and move it back and plug it in so it's like a little button you can push that's kind of embedded over here on this side. If you do it this way, so I'm going to hit Control W, make sure this is all one polygroup. I'm going to go ahead and hide this. Actually, let's do it to this middle one. This will be a little bit simpler. So let's say we want to isolate this area right here and just embed this. If you do it the slice way, And if you want to, you can actually do, really quickly, you can do a slice rectangle, and I'll show you why this isn't going to work. So slice rectangle, let's, actually, I want to slice it along this, I want to make this edge straight so I can slice a perfect rectangle out of that. How I'm going to do that is hit W, go into transpose mode, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to tap this white circle over here, and that's going to put it straight across that camera line. Now when I hold down, I'm going to go back into Q to go back into standard mode, or standard brush, Control Shift slice rectangle. Now I can slice a rectangle right out of that. So I've got my perfectly sliced rectangle thing right here. It looks great. It's exactly what I want. I want to take this piece out and pop it into its own piece. So of course what I want to do is, Dynamesh with the group on. Now the problem is when I Dynamesh with a group, it looks okay, but you're going to notice if I pop this piece off and hit Control Shift A, and you're going to notice it wasn't able to fill through here. Now what you can do is you can do put that back to the camera view. You can go in here to your clip rectangle and you can kind of clean this up by doing clip rectangle and hold down Alt and kind of clip that, clean that up. But that's not going to help you on when you go to the other shape here. That's, you're getting these thin webby lines here. So we're going to have to avoid doing that. So I'm going to undo back through all of this, back where we started, and I'm going to get rid of that slice. So now let's use slice curve, but let's do it a little bit cleaner so that it behaves and cuts how we would like it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to totally ignore this left side. I'm just going to work on this right side, and then we're going to mirror and weld at the very end. Hold down Control Shift, go into slice. Now I'm making sure this is all one polygroup. I want to go ahead and slice here. And so now what I want to do is make these two perfectly sliced objects right here. So what I want to do is make sure groups turned on, Control drag. Now I've got these two perfect groups, right? Control Shift A. This is all one perfect group, right? I'm going to go ahead and split hidden. Now I'm going to go tap this one. And just to be safe, I'm going to hit Control W, make this all one polygroup. What's going to happen is if I have multiple polygroups while I'm doing this, you could get, with groups turned on, actually, let's go ahead and undo that and I'll show you. So if we've got this here, and now we go down here, and we slice this, and it's like, okay, this is all one polygroup, it's perfect, I've got groups turned on, and I Dynamesh, oops, I've got all this nastiness up here I don't want to have to deal with. So we need to undo that. I need to hit Control W, get rid of all the polygroups. Turn on polyframe. We want to slice this. Make sure groups is turned on. Dynamesh that. Now at this point, what I usually do is actually go turn groups off real quick, just so when I go back to these other polygroups here, I don't have to worry about turning groups off because I generally don't have groups off. So by default, I want that to be my default. But for now, I'm going to Control Shift this, Control Shift A, and I'm going to isolate this into its own polygroup. Now I've got one more, so I've got this one, and again, I want to make sure this is all one polygroup, Control W. And again, if you do this a lot, you don't have to sit here and look at it and do all this stuff. It's all just going to be stuff, muscle memory that you just do. And as of this recording, I mean, it might have gotten better, or maybe there's a better way to do this. If there is, just leave it in my comments. But for now, this is the fastest way I know how to do this. Control Shift, slice. And if you want to do, a jaunty angle down here, you can slice this. Make sure groups is turned on. Now, if you want to, after you Dynamesh, oops, make sure groups is turned on. After you Dynamesh, you can do auto groups, so that'll auto group these, and then you can, you don't have to do the show and then Control W and then split hidden. You can just do auto groups. Where I've found that kind of falls apart a little bit is if you're working on really high resolution meshes, sometimes it'll kind of slow you down. It's actually a little bit faster to select one, Control Shift A, Control W to make its own polygroup and split it off. But do what you want to do. So we've got all these, right? So now this is the little square piece. Now if we take the square piece and look at it, it's perfectly chopped up just like we wanted. And just to be safe, I'm going to hit Control W. I don't need to see the polygroups, but I know it's happening. Now all of these I want to merge back together. How I'm going to do that really simply, if these are all buried in a ton of subtools, I'm going to click one. I'm going to say, we'll tap this one down here, Shift, shoot it to the top. Tap this one here, shoot it to the top. Shift this one, click this one here, shoot it to the top. I can do Control E, which is merge down. And I know this is happening, so I don't need to check it. Just to be safe, I'm going to hit Control W to make it all one polygroup. Make sure groups is turned off just to be extra safe. Dynamesh that all together. And because this wasn't a very high-res mesh, you're going to have to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's not that bad. And I'm going to click this one here. So now it's not mirrored, so I need to take this one. I need to do a quick mirror and weld. tap this, Alt tap this one, do a quick mirror and weld. And I don't remember if it was this video or not, but if you need to do that manually, it's under deformation, mirror, mirror across the x-axis here, and then mirror and weld is under geometry, mirror and weld. So you can do it across the x-axis. So now you've got these two pieces. These are pieces that are perfectly symmetrical. You can go ahead and clean this up. All it is just a little bit smooth, or you can work at higher Dynamesh resolutions if you want to. You can clean up these shapes here. You got these shapes here. If you want to clean these up, you can go into solo mode and you can drag these, smooth them out. You can take this one, smooth it out. Now what you can do is W, you can go into move mode. You can tap this, find the surface normal. You can push it in. You can bed this a little bit if you want to. You can, if you need to move this out, you can hit W, move this out, and then hold down Shift, and that'll move it this way or that way, however you want to do that. So you can kind of, or if this is, you don't want it to poke in, you can tap this surface normal, hold down Shift, grab this end, and just kind of push this in. So now you've got a little embedded square right here. So we'll go ahead and bring everything back, and now you've got this how you want it to. So now you've got like a little tab or a little button or a little lift or whatever you want to do, and that's a really easy way to kind of slice nice pieces out of here. Now again, it seems like it's a lot of work, but once you get past that point, what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to go out of X symmetry mode, and I'm going to go ahead and Control Shift Alt and then do a quick delete hidden. That's under your geometry menu, modify topology. And I'm going to hit Control W, and I'm just going to really quickly go ahead and take a chunk out of this. I'm going to go into my slice curve. I'm going to slice here, turn on groups, Dynamesh, Control Shift A, split hidden. Now I want to hit Control W, slice here, I turn on groups, Control Shift A, split hidden, Control W, slice here, groups turned on, Control Shift A, turn off groups just for the hell of it, split hidden, Control W. So now I've got this one, Control W, Control W, Control W just to play it safe. I want to take this one, shoot it to the top, this one, shoot it to the top, this one, shoot it to the top, Control E, groups is off, Dynamesh, get this one, Control W, make sure it's on one polygroup, move this in a little bit, and again, because I'm not Dynameshing at a super high resolution, I'm getting those little bit of artifacts, but it's easy enough to clean up, smooth that. You can smooth these lines out. If you want to, you can go to Smooth Stronger, which I have auto-loaded. You can go into your hit comma, go into brush, go into your smooth brushes. If you're having a hard time smoothing quickly, and I'm going to PQRS smooth, and Smooth Stronger is in here. You can double click that, and now you've got Smooth Stronger. When you smooth, and you can just kind of smooth these out really quickly, or you can smooth these bevels a lot quicker. Now if it smooths too much, you can hold down Shift and then drag that Z intensity down, and you can smooth a little bit less. So now you've got all these cut shapes that you can start making panels and stuff.